Hello, here we go. It's the Cop-Eye Podcast.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the Cop-Eye Podcast. It's Mick and Kristian once again to celebrate a victory over Man City, a 1-0 victory.
Yeah.
How are you doing, lad? How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. I was exhausted last night, but I went to bed with a smile on my face. So all good after, what we've been discussing since the start of the season, with bad performances and, injuries. Obviously, we're going to come into that too. But just a great feeling of, actually having Liverpool back on track, well, in the way they actually played yesterday. So that was really good.
Yeah, it was very nice. And I just thought we'd start at the beginning on obviously team news, because when we done the preview show, obviously we were discussing about, is Konate going to be fit? He wasn't in training. Does that mean he's not fit, or does it mean that he is fit and he's just being rested? And obviously, I think he had a late fitness test. He wasn't fit, so we had to go with Gomez and Milner at right back. But I've got the starting 11 there. How was you feeling going into that? Because obviously the front four, as it was, I think it was more of a 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, 4-2-4 at times. Again, that's similar to the games we played in the past. But for me, it was the Milner and Gomez. Obviously, Gomez moving back over into centre back and Milner coming in at right back. That was the area of concern for me, especially when Pep put Foden there, and he always puts Foden there when we play against Liverpool, because it's either Trent or Milner there, and he knows that he can get joy there. But that was the area I was looking at as key for us, but it done really well, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think, everyone will love James Milner for what he's done for Liverpool, and the pro is and the role model for all the youngsters and people in general, how you should behave as a pro. And when he was named in the starting 11, I think people were a little bit like, shit, he's going to be up against Foden, who's really quick, he got technical skills, is really good. But to be fair, Milner just showed him that, he's got experience and he's a, super pro. We just didn't really let him do anything, to be honest. And that shows that Milner, even though he's 36, he still can do the job. I don't say obviously that he should start many games, but if we need him, he will do the job. Sometimes he will be, run past, or he will not be great. But yesterday he was brilliant. He was one of the best on the pitch on that side. So together with Elliott as well on that side. So yeah, I was concerned at first, but when you saw him actually putting in that performance, it was really good.
Yeah, I think the protection from Elliott and the protection from Jota for the fullbacks. I think in a defensive formation, I think it was a 4-4-2. Elliott was basically right mid, Jota was left mid, and it was Salah and Firmino as a two. So I think it worked quite well against City as well, which was good. Paul's in. Afternoon, Paul. Nice one for jumping in. We've also got Aiden as well. Afternoon, guys. Brilliant result yesterday. Yeah, it really was. It was a good time to put in our best performance so far. We needed to. Obviously, we spoke about it before the Arsenal game, saying that if we beat them, it kind of sends a statement to the rest of the league, we're not done. And then obviously we didn't manage to get over the line with that one, with the refereeing decisions. And then there was obviously a few 50-50 shouts, shall we say, yesterday in the other game. But I just thought we'd start at the beginning. Obviously 0-0 it was at half time, but I mean, for the first half, I think I texted you at half time saying that was a good half, because we kind of limited them to not many chances. I think we had one shot on target, one off. I think they had 2 on target and 3 off, or something similar. So I think it was fairly even at half time, and I think that was a good platform for us to build on, wasn't it? Because obviously everything then happens in the second half pretty much.
Yeah, and I agree. When we were texting each other, we were talking about that just being a really good half if we compare to what we've seen before, with conceding, really early in games, with the defensive line not being up for it, the midfield just, being all over the place. But the first half against Man City yesterday, everything was kind of in place again. You could tell that it was structure and organization from the from the goalkeeper and up in the pitch. So even if it's City and they play in a way obviously that probably also makes it a little bit, I wouldn't say easier for us, but they want to have possession. We want to have possession as well at home. But I think their way of playing kind of suited us, as well this time. But I thought, what we saw was more like we've been talking about all the time. We saw more intensity. They were more aggressive on the ball and on the players that have the ball for them. So I was really pleased, like you said, with the first half, because it was Liverpool like we have been used to see them for a long time. So just to see them put in the fight, put in a performance like that, just make me really happy. And then we actually played good football, in periods where we actually kept the ball and was going forward. It was not bad. So first half, really good in comparison to what we've seen before.
Yeah, like I said, it was a good platform for us to build on. And I think just getting through the first half was kind of like right, City are usually smashing teams. Like they know how to beat teams. They've got obviously Haaland pacing behind, pace and power.
Who?
Just because he's Norwegian, lad. Don't worry. He didn't get a sniff. I mean, he had a few chances, to be fair. Yeah. But Doug's in. Nice one, Doug. Doug says we limited De Bruyne yesterday, but I think Thiago and Fabinho and Elliott need a huge amount of credit. I also noticed they tried to double up on Robbo and Milner. We did the same on Cancelo and Ake. Aiden says, really pressed them. Van Dijk, Salah, back to the best. In fairness, everyone played well. And then Doug says, very great win apart. But everyone played their part, yeah. And it was, like we said, Elliott and Jota as like just providing extra protection, because like we said, Milner was going to be the obvious person they were going to target, but the amount of work Harvey Elliott got through was just amazing, wasn't it? And even when he picked up the ball in nice areas, he looked really sharp, didn't he?
Yeah, it just felt like everyone was actually up for fighting for each other, protecting each other, and like you said, Elliott was one of them. Well, all did it, but Elliott showed, even with his young age and not being that experienced, that he's got all the skills to be a top player. He's already shown it before, but when he's getting put in these kind of games straight away in the starting 11 and being that kind of player in that kind of position, that that it needs so much from that kind of player to play in there on the pitch in a midfield. He just showed that he wants to play. He showed that he wants to be in the starting 11, and I think he kind of gave us that as well. And the fight that he put in, that's all you can ask for. But yeah, loads of fight and loads of skill from him. So I was really pleased.
Yeah, and there was load of good performances. But it kind of, let's just get stuck into the meat in the sandwich. That was when they got their goal. That's when it all sparked off, really, wasn't it? Because I think actually it comes from Salah having that chance where he goes through and you're like, oh my God, he's definitely going to score here. Ederson makes an unbelievable save. They get a goal kick, which is just like typical of the refereeing decisions. And I think it's obviously Ederson's down for a bit. Diaz takes the goal kick, and it's pretty much from there that Haaland gets the ball, pulls Fabinho back. They go on to score. So there was Foden scores obviously after that, but it was the Fabinho tackle from Haaland. And I think also what they were looking at as well was the Haaland interception from Alisson as well, which it looked like Alisson had two hands on his ball. But I don't know. I think both of them, if they go for you, you're like, yeah, that's right. But if they go against you, I can see why people would like look to. It's one of those 50-50 ones, I think. But I do think the Fabinho one definitely was a foul, especially in this day and age. And I think Bernardo Silva and Gundogan and even Guardiola came out after the match saying like the game had been played at like a frantic pace. Everyone was putting in tackles. The referee let it all go, and then he looked back at that one. But then if there's a big incident and there's a goal, and you look in the build up to the goals, that's what they do these days. So it's still in the same phase of play. They won the ball back because it was a foul. So that was I thought it was an easy decision.
Yeah, if that would have happened to us, like obviously you will always be angry if that was a goal disallowed. But if you look at it and the way Haaland is holding Fabinho and pulling him his shirt, he loses his balance because he's on his way of turning and being turned around, and he loses his balance because he still drags him down in that way. So I would say it's a foul. You know, I'm not just saying it because it was Liverpool. It's a foul if I just look at it. That's, you know, he holds on to him. And like you said, I was on Twitter about it as well because when Salah had a chance and came, you know, clear against Ederson, and he makes an unbelievable good save. I'm just like, it's a corner, and I was just waiting for it. And then they, you know, gave them a goal kick, and I was like, you know, what's going on? It's a corner because, you know, we have that chance. He's attacking. He makes a good save. We're in a good move, you know, and in a good momentum at that time. So a corner for us could be really, really good after having that chance as well. You know, we know that we're on to them. Come on, let's have a corner. And they get the goal kick and they score from that goal kick. So I was furious. I was shouting at home, you know, at the tally. And, you know, my missus was a little bit angry because I was, you know, we had a daughter next to me and stuff. But I was so angry because, you know, that we didn't get the corner and they scored. So I used to think it's fair when they saw that foul anyway. So in the first place, it shouldn't even be a foul because it should have been a corner straight on. So, you know, in fairness, it shouldn't be a goal, and that situation should never have had happened, because if the referees was actually doing what they're supposed to do, it should have been a corner from the start.
Yeah, so it was kind of, and I think it evens itself out because I just mentioned the Arsenal game the previous week. We got absolutely nothing all game. We lost the game this week. They weren't as contentious. Like, it wasn't like an handball, like in the box that wasn't given or whatever, like it was for us. So it wasn't as a proper blatant decision to make. But I just think it's one of those that it's meant to even itself out, isn't it? So we'll take that one. But then we get to it's basically a carbon copy of them being through the first time. Obviously, the first one was through like a nice bit of play by Elliot. Firmino, great little ball through. This one is from a corner, a free kick from them, and Alisson collects it, sees Salah running off in the distance, and goes, "Yeah, mate, have this." But the way that he turned Cancelo and then ran through and slotted it, that's just like peak Mo Salah, isn't it? That's just how good he is, and he can make. I think people were saying, "Oh, it's a mistake by Cancelo," but he makes that happen because he backs into him and spins him, and he's the last man, so he's through on goal. So it was just a bit of world class ability from Mo Salah, wasn't it?
Yeah, I read that as well. People saying it was bad defending, but I think, like you said, Salah just make him being bad because he's just doing what he needs to do to make Cancelo having the hardest way of defending. He backs into him, he holds him off, gets the ball and just turns. And obviously you need skills to do that, but obviously that's hard to defend against as well if you're not like the biggest defender as well. So yeah, that's a great turn and a great, you know, run and a great finish from Salah. So like you said, it's peak Mo Salah. And if you can play like that, even if, you know, he's playing up front now or more central and actually score more goals in that way, you know, we could actually see him score quite a lot of goals because we used to it, but now it's been playing more to the right, you know, in the start of the season and stuff like that. But actually putting him more in the central will cause, you know, defenders more problems, I think. So maybe it's somewhere we will see him now going forward, playing like up front or more central.
Hopefully. Well, I think that's kind of what we saw yesterday, because Elliot was basically doing that Salah job on the right where he was tracking back, and we just said how good he was doing it because obviously he's loads younger. He needs to get the clock the miles up in the legs, which Salah's done for 5 years. He's basically ran that whole right-hand channel and still managed to score loads of goals. So it's only right that we do put him a bit more central, because every time we had the space in between the lines, in between defence and midfield, Elliot picked it up. There was always a ball on for Salah, like over the top or in behind, just like a through ball. So I think on the goal as well, I think if Cancelo fouls him, it's a red card, isn't it? So he has to be careful because he's the last man. But the ability is unbelievable. It really is. And that kept up Alisson's. He likes to get 1 goal contribution a season, and I don't think he didn't in his first year, but since then he has. He got the in 1920. He got the assist for the Man United goal. Obviously, when we beat them 2-0. The year after, he gets maybe the best Liverpool goal of all time against West Brom. Honestly, I would put it at least top 20. It was just one of my favourite ever moments, that. And then the year after, he gets the assist for Salah again in our 3-1 win over Norwich. And then yesterday, he gets the assist for Mo Salah again. So he likes to assist Mo Salah, and he likes scoring headers. So let's just hope he can he can keep up that ratio because it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, and he likes to have better, statistics than Jack Grealish. So it's
100 million. 100 million. Oh my god.
Yeah. So
Hilarious.
all good. And when we score as well, he slips when he, making that pass to Mo Salah, but it's still going, perfectly. So yeah, it's just a good move. It's really good play by Alisson because he sees that he's really quick coming out, and Salah just does it brilliantly. So yeah, it's a great goal. And well, after that, I was more nervous, obviously, because now we're 1-0 up, and you just want to keep holding that lead and win. But yeah, that's what football is all about as well, the nerves.
Yeah, and we've had a load of them this season, especially like just for Liverpool not being at the races. But yesterday I could spend hours just going through Milner, Gomez, Van Dijk, Robertson. We could go through every single player and be like, they've done a lot of good stuff, and it's been the opposite so far this season. So it's nice to have.
It was a great collective performance because, like we said, we had. Like we said before, we had players, out of form. We have been quite bad, being collectively good because we haven't helped each other. But, yesterday against Man City, I thought, I wouldn't say perfect, but most of the players and the way we played was actually, really, really good and almost perfect because you could see that we closed them down. We won the ball. The midfield, like Thiago and Fabinho, were on them all the time. And I thought, the way that, like you said, Jota and Elliott helped out, and Gomez and Van Dijk just kept Haaland quiet. He had one good chance, which was the header, I guess, where Alisson just saved. So he didn't have much more than that. So they, kept him away from the dangerous spaces. There was a few balls, in behind our lines, but it was never really dangerous. Well, obviously, Alisson had one save where Haaland has a shot on target, but it's not a good shot, so it's a good save that he should take anyway. But I think Robertson needs some mentioning because he's been out, and we have said that we have Tsimikas who could play that position, and he's done it good. But I think with Robertson, the way he plays and put pressure, and with his aggressivity, and it just gives us something extra on that side, helps out as well. He's just that experienced now, obviously, because he's played in that position for so many years. But he just gives something extra. He's like a machine. So I just think he's very vital to the way we play. So we need him to be fit because he's like Trent on the right side. That Robertson on the left side is very vital to of the way we will play with that kind of aggressivity. So yeah, and I think, like we said, like him being injured might have been a nice time just for him to get a break in his body because he hasn't had that many over the last couple of years, and just racking up miles in his legs and running everywhere like he always does. So it's nice to get Robbo back, and then a fresh Robbo back as well. Yeah.
But JJ, nice one. JJ's in. Nothing lifts my mood like beating the Manx and hearing them whine about it. Sending Haaland back up the M62 with so nuts made my weekend. Yeah, Thiago, like I think you put a tweet up saying he's trying to stop future robots. So, yeah, that's
just malfunctioning now and errors everywhere.
Aidan says Alisson more assist than Grealish. Yeah, it's hilarious. And then Doug says Alisson would probably go down as our greatest keeper we've ever had. I mean, he's still got a lot of years left, but what he's done so far, I think we've always mentioned him and Van Dijk as being like the missing jigsaw pieces, if you want to call it like that, for us to actually like become from a really good team to a world-class team. So yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that, to be fair, especially in my lifetime. He's been by far the best. But yeah, then obviously we take the lead. Then I was obviously starting to worry a little bit because I was thinking we need another goal and whatever else. So Nunes comes onto the field, doesn't he? So Nunes comes on 72nd minute for Firmino, and Henderson comes on for Fabinho because Fabinho got the yellow card, and Carvalho replaces Elliott because obviously Elliott basically legged it everywhere and was probably absolutely shattered. But it's only like a couple of minutes after that Jurgen Klopp gets it a red card, and I just thought it was just hilarious. And I've actually got like a screenshot of the foul because I just thought I can't not put it up. It's this one, so Mo absolutely skins him. Runs past him, Bernardo Silva grabs him, Starts to stop him, can't stop him, so he falls over. Then as Mo's fell over, Bernardo Silva backs into him. I think he throws like basically 2 elbows into his ribs and whatever, then runs off. Mo Salah is absolutely furious. You never see him really like majorly angry, even when it's like decisions against him. He usually just laughs or smiles. So to see him like really riled up I loved it. And obviously Klopp went in fucking sane, which is quite rightly, because you can't see in that shop, the linesman's literally right next to them. It's the most clear foul, and he didn't get nothing all game, Mo Salah. So I think that was just like the straw that broke the camel's back, that one, because it was all day Salah getting chopped down, no foul. I think there was one in the first half or early second half where they nearly scored because Salah gets fouled by Rodri. I think it was the first half, actually. And then that one, it's just, I think Klopp obviously got the red card, but I think it was probably just like a champagne cork, just finally just flying. Because fucking accumulation of fouls, ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, but I put on Twitter as well. I was surprised that Salah had all his arms left because they were, they were hanging on to him. They were dragging his shirt. They were just, he didn't get anything for it. Like, it was like you said, it's probably 2-3 times where you thought like, well, that's a free kick, and there was nothing. So, how much you can say, like Klopp said, in the press conference after, it was wrong what he did, but it's the heat of the moment, and he looks really aggressive. Obviously, he gets really angry. But to be honest, I don't blame him in this situation, because normally I'll be like, it's obviously wrong, but I would have gone mentally, crazy as well, because if you see that all the game and the way that Bernardo Silva is actually hanging on to Salah there. First of all, it looked kind of the way that Ramos injured him in the Champions League final. And, if he hangs on to him like that and he actually loses his balance and falls badly, that's could be dangerous play, to be honest. If you just hang on to someone like that, you can drag someone's shirt, you can keep hold of them for a few seconds and stuff like that. But if you just do that, that could be quite dangerous, to be honest, because if he falls and he lands really bad on top of him or under him or whatever, it could be just a stupid injury, like a twisted arm or fingers, or because you can't hold your arms in position to cover yourself when you fall. And also, when there's nothing there, like the linesman can see the situation, it gives nothing. I understand why Klopp goes mad. So, I just think it's, at this time, I'll just behind Klopp all the way. Just tell them, Klopp, just tell them, Jurgen, we love you anyway.
I think people are saying like, you shouldn't be screaming in refs' faces or linesmen's faces. And I get that point of view, but I think, like I said, it was an accumulation of Salah literally getting like headlocked, thrown to the floor, not happening, and then that one was just the icing on the cake. Like, just literally tried to get him into like a wrestling suplex, and it's just Salah's too strong for him and too fast for him, and he ends up falling over. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a free kick and it's a yellow card for Bernardo Silva. Like, how can you miss? The linesman is in the situation, the referee can see it. They got the VAR to what. It's just, come on. You can in these kind of games, it's fine if there's a little bit of fight, there's someone holding onto your shirt for a little bit, you get a free kick here, get a free kick there. But at that time, when you do that kind of stuff, it's just, there's no more clear free kick and a yellow card than that, because that's just ruin the game and to interrupt the play from our end as well. So it's Klopp was sitting in a press conference saying obviously it was wrong, but I think he's happy that he did it anyway. He tells them what they want to hear, but in his mind he did the right thing, and it's just what it is. But like you said, we get the point of view that it's wrong, but at this situation I'd be like, you can just handle that much. If the referees are that bad, you just have to tell them at some point, because you never, like Klopp said, you never get an explanation about the decisions that they take. So you get frustrated because you can't afterwards have someone say, well, this is why we did this, or even say, we had that wrong. That was
never do.
So that's why they also get really angry, the managers, because they get like all the tensions on them afterwards if there's a win or a loss or whatever, if there's a big decision in the game, but the referees never have to stand up for anything. So I guess that's why it's same with Pep, to be honest. Obviously now he was really frustrated with things, but I think that just comes from you never get anything from the referees afterwards, which is annoying, really annoying sometimes.
Yeah, I think Klopp doesn't regret absolutely anything. I think I'm well with him on that one. But Chris is in. Nice one, Chris. Afternoon, lads. Love smashing the sports, washing blues.
Yeah.
Also says, seeing Van Dijk and Gomez partnership back was great. Yeah, and I'll just touch on that very quickly because Gomez has been... He's had some questions thrown at him because obviously he's came back from a patella tendon injury, which is one of the worst you can have. I think on Match of the Day too, Martin Keown was talking about it. Obviously, he's an ex Arsenal centre back, and he had like a part. He was saying he had a partial tear, and it took him like 2 years to get back to like full speed, like getting back to like how quick the game is, and obviously the demands on your legs and your knees and whatever is massive. So Gomez had a full tear. So the fact that he's back and he's playing Premier League football and starting to get back into the rhythm is a testament to how good he is. And obviously he's been playing out of position as well, been playing right back, done really well. Coming in for Trent, who's been under the radar and just getting every minute decision, every decision he makes on the field is questioned by everyone, and obviously his defensive ability. So Gomez came in and helped that out, but then he's obviously had to go in and help because Konate and Matip are both injured as well. But I thought he was absolutely class yesterday, and Van Dijk was as well. But I think it's one of those that we expect that level from Van Dijk. It was just of a case of when's the game that it comes back fully. And I think yesterday was that game, and obviously Gomez then helped that. I think as a duo, they were great, weren't they?
Yeah, and with the pace of Gomez as well, you could see he just made sure that he was on the right side, and with defending against Haaland as well, he was quick, he was strong, he interrupted their play as well. So yeah, I think Gomez and Van Dijk looked like they were back in 2019, and with Joe Gomez, I had his back since he actually came to Liverpool, because when he came really young, like 17 from Charlton, wherever it was, when he started to play for us, we could see that we got a really good talent here that could become great. And then he had, his injuries and bad luck and all that. But when he plays like this, he's probably the best, one of the best, or even the best, English defender, like central defender. To be honest, you got the, Stones, or you have some else's, but I think Joe Gomez, with his pace and the way he follows the defenders and covers, I think he is great. It's just that he's, having the bad luck with injuries, and because of that, haven't been able to play regularly. And then obviously Konate came in because of problems with Matip. And so, I just wish that he can actually continue playing without problem, because then we will have a really, really great centre back for the future. And hopefully, like, there's rumours, about swapping him and, with money and doing this and that. But I'll just say keep him, because he can play centre back. Obviously, we know that, but he can also play right back when we need him. So we can't
left back as well.
Yeah, we can't get rid of players who's actually really good in different positions like that. So yeah, and he's still really young. So just keep hold of him, and he will be really good for us, as long as he's not injured. Obviously.
Yeah, I just think it's mad because people obviously you can't just say, oh yeah, just keep him around because he's a good player. It's in this day and age, it's like, either he plays every week, or if he's on the bench, then we might as well get rid of him. That's kind of the mentality where it's like, keep him, or just sell him, get someone else in. It's just like it's got to be like really cutthroat for most people, and you're just like, why? Because like
you can't do it in the modern football. Like you need loads of really, really skillful players to be able to go for all the titles. Because like if we didn't have Gomez and we were playing Van Dijk and Matip, Konate, and both Matip, Konate is out, now you get the injuries. Then okay, who should we play then? Should we go back with Henderson playing the centre? I know there's an argument, obviously, an argument about Joe Gomez want to play, all the time, starting and all that. But if he plays like this, he will.
I think the difficulty is because he got that injury. Matip had the best season he did have last year in terms of injury. He stayed fit pretty much all season. I think he played the most games he ever has since he played for Schalke, I think. Yeah. And then Konate came in and was just amazing, and just like really hit the ground running. Was just an amazing presence, power, pace, all the stuff that a Klopp centre back needs: pace and power, and obviously a great understanding, good on the ball, ticks all the boxes, and came in and done really well. So it made it even harder for him, and maybe he was like questioning whether he should leave, but then he signed a new contract. So
yeah,
it's a mad one, isn't it?
Yeah, and I look at it as, obviously Matip with his, being injury prone and had, problems before. Then he played loads of games, was really good, and Joe Gomez had his injury problems, couldn't get back into the team, obviously, because of Matip being playing really well.
Yeah.
But if you look at it now, like, I think, Konate is obviously the one that they see for the future when, taking over from Van Dijk, I guess, because I think they picked him because he got the same kind of attributes as Van Dijk in one way. And also they already, also look at Joe Gomez. So I think, if everything goes as, we want, and I think they are planning, that will be Joe Gomez and Konate being the centre backs for the future, because Matip is, around his 30s, whatever, really injury prone. Van Dijk is now there as well. They got a few good seasons left in them, I guess, or even more, hopefully. But, in the future, just taking over, it's Konate and Joe Gomez, because they are both still young, like 23 and 25 or whatever, So if they can take over from them, there you go.
Yeah, we're sorted. I think that's what we said. Like when we signed Konate, he's like the next level. But then Matip was getting injured, so Konate came in, and it's obviously progressed him at a quicker rate as well, because he's playing loads of games, playing next to Van Dijk, learning loads of stuff, getting even better. But then he's picking up these injuries as well, which that's why you have strength and depth. That's why you have players like Joe Gomez waiting in the wings to come in, and he'll want to come in and play as well as he can for as long as he can. So the performance yesterday was only another good step for him in his comeback, because I think the Napoli game, I don't think he covered himself in glory with a few of their goals that kind of came from his side and stuff. So yeah, just one of those that we need to be patient with him as well, just in his comeback from that bad injury. But I want to get onto Chris's kind of segue nicely, because I was going to get onto Nunes next anyway. But Chris says Nunes causes absolute chaos. Yes, he messes up a 3v1, but he caused panic in the City defence. They don't like a lad that big running at them. Yeah, like I said before, he came on for Bobby, didn't he? Like with 20 minutes to go. So he had a 20-minute cameo. And yeah, the 3v1 situation, I think it's one of those that if he just plays that ball, Salah scores, and it's 2-0 and the game's done. I think he gets away with it, that we still win the game, because imagine we didn't win that game. Imagine they score. There's going to be, Nunes did this, and he would have just passed it here, and we would have won 2-0. And I think there's another chance where he tries to play in Trent on the far post with like a proper Stevie G wrapped pass, which is too much pace on it, and he should just play in Carvalho, and Carvalho probably has got a really good shot on him, and especially from that close, he probably would have scored as well. So I think it's decision making, but there's also the running with the ball, like Chris says, like he was just rinsing them. He was running past them. He was making stuff happen. He was getting free kicks around the box. Yeah, and I think he's really raw, but I think we all know that. Klopp knows that he's not the finished article by any means, and it's the technical stuff that obviously people are worried about. That I understand why, because it's not polished, and it's not Bobby Firmino-esque when we sign Bobby and he's dropping in and he's got these really neat touches, but he's not that type of player. He drifts out wide, he drifts through the centre, but he never stops running. I think it's something that definitely needs to be patient with him. But I thought he did well. It's just it's the decision making, and I think Salah was screaming at him because he didn't pass to him. I'm sure they'll be speaking about that today and the next couple of days, about that, in terms of when you're in those positions, look up, and I'll be there waiting for it. Just pass me the ball. But then it's also the other side where he wants to make an impression, he wants to score, because if he takes that shot on and it flies top corner, you're like, well, there's no decision to be made because he's scored. But it's just little things like that. If we would have scored that goal, the game would have been done. So, but we got away with it, and I thought he done well. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, it's the decision making that is a little bit bad, because, like you said, if City would have come back to 1-1 and we had the chances for him to pass twice to actually make us score and go to 2-0 up or even 3-0 up, to be honest, you can always argue about the one situation not happening if we were 2-0 up and all that, but he get the chances to pass the ball, and the ball to Trent. I think that he picks that one because I think the defender actually when I saw the replay, I think the defender just comes in the back of Carvalho. Is it Carvalho or Jota who's in that position? Oh, it doesn't matter. But yeah, when he picks out Trent instead of
Carvalho, I think.
Carvalho. It's just because the defender's actually just coming back into his back. So, there's a chance that obviously there could be a penalty if he comes into his back, pushing him and stuff like that. But I just think he's just seeing that Trent is actually, it's just that he overhits the ball. Like it looks like it's over, because if that is not as hard, when he passes it, that will be a brilliant pass, and Trent can just, tap it in, really. But it's a little bit of an overhit. But I think when he came in, like you said, he was running at them. He got some free kicks. He was making them, really. He was really annoying with him, that kind of player that you don't want to face at that stage of a game when you're starting to get maybe a little bit tired as well.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, he's raw, but we can see that he's got the skills. I really like what he has. So I just, it's just to work with him, keep playing him in, some games starting in, obviously, because he scored against Rangers. Some games like this, maybe, with the experience, start with other players. But, give him a bit of time. He's probably one of them. You can tell that he's got all the skills, but he's one of them players that needs a bit of time just to, settle into this league and to the team. But it goes. I have no concerns, but I think he, when everything clicks with him, he will score loads of goals because he's got that ability.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just one of those, isn't it? Like, he's young, very, very raw, but hopefully the other stuff that we aren't seeing, the awareness and stuff, that'll get drummed into him by everyone, because he needs to pick his head up in those positions.
Yeah, and Klopp said, obviously he could just say that but I don't think he's that kind of person. But he said, we see him in training every day. We know how he can finish and how he actually put himself into positions to, to actually score loads of goals. So, they see him every day, and I think they just think, he's got it. We just need to work with him.
Yeah, definitely. But there's loads of comments I just want to get through that quick. Doug says, nice to see the crying filter on Bernardo. That was hilarious. Yeah, I posted that after Cop Out, actually, because I thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
Aiden says, I think the ref should be interviewed after the game. That would be interesting. Yeah, I just can't ever see it happening, because if they make a bad decision, they're just going to go and fucking hide away and not speak to anyone. But they should be. Everyone should be accountable. Like, if you make a mistake, and even making mistakes like the Arsenal game, you're still making mistakes. You've got VAR, you can check it. You're still making a mistake. You've got to be held accountable for that. You can't just get away with it. It's just crazy. Chris says, if Trent had defended like Cancelo for the Salah goal, we'd never hear the end of it. Yeah, like we were saying before, everything Trent was doing was it's under the microscope, isn't it? But yeah, when it's a City player and he's not English,
exactly,
he's not a Scouser, then it's sound. Aiden says, if Joe carries on, then he might be included in the World Cup squad. Not that I really want him in it, but his performances have been class. Chris says, loads moan about lack of squad depth compared to others, then moan when we have great options on the bench. Yeah, you can't win. You can't win. Exactly.
Yeah.
Aiden says, you can see he's starting to find his feet. Still raw, Nunes, but you love him. Love him already, the mad bastard. Yeah, he is a mad bastard. But yeah, I've got a average positions thingy, because I saw this on Twitter and I thought it was quite interesting. Just before we finish up, so as you can see there, yeah, Gomez and Van Dijk, Milner and Robbo both in our own half, pretty much. Like, I think you'd usually see if Trent was playing, you'd see Trent at least to a similar position where Elliott is there, to be fair. So Milner obviously, and Robertson being quite reserved, knowing how good City are. And then you've got Jota and Bobby on the halfway with Fabinho and Thiago, all quite in a similar position. And you've got Elliott quite just a little bit further than Firmino, and obviously Mo Salah just waiting for stuff to happen. And that's what we said in it. Like, he's been a right winger, right forward since he's been in the club, and he's obviously he's 30. Was he 31 now? 30. So he's getting a bit older. So I think it does make sense to try and get him closer to the goal, because when he's doing all the dirty work, which Elliott did great yesterday, that's all well and good. But then it kind of empties his tank in terms of what he can do going forwards. And I think we need to play to our strengths, and having Mo Salah in those positions 100% helps us, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gives him more freedom. Like, if someone else can cover up and do that work as Elliott did, and in this case, obviously Salah playing up front, he gets more freedom to just actually use his pace and skills, going towards goal instead of going wide on the right, or tracking back as well. We've seen him do that, and it's brilliant. And it's even if he's getting a little bit older now, he still's got that great pace, which we saw yesterday as well. So, give him a little bit more freedom in the center of the pitch. Then I think, we will see a reborn Sara, to be honest. Like he looked really good when he had the chances. Well, obviously with the Ederson save and all that, it's a good save, but it's a narrow little gap as well for him to finish in the way I saw it. But, he was there. He had the chance. If he keeps on playing like that, then he will score many more goals. No problem.
Yeah, and that's a nice little segue into this one. Premier
That's
League
mad.
top goal scorers for Liverpool. He's now 1 ahead of Steven Gerrard and only 7 behind, who I believe is the best natural finisher the Premier League's ever seen. I think only bad injuries stopped him scoring a load. He would be well high up in the list than that. But yeah, he only needs 8 to go into first place for Premier League top goal scorers. That's literally mental, isn't it? You can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that in the next 10 games if you want to.
Yeah, when we look back at Mo Salah in Liverpool, in a few years to come, or even if he will stay for obviously a few years, say 5-10 years to come, then we will look at probably the best player that ever played for us in terms of statistics and scoring goals and winning trophies as well. Even if the great teams of the 70s and 80s won a lot of more, but if you look at the modern football and what we're up against with City and Chelsea and all that kind of teams as well, but you look at Mo Salah just scoring so many goals in quite few seasons as well. He's just unbelievable, and the way he takes care of himself as well. Training, all that, keep himself fit, and he's just the ultimate pro and a leader on the pitch in the way he plays. He don't need to shout and moan a lot, but he just show everyone out what you need to do. Like really work hard and score many goals, and that's something. He's something else.
Yeah, and like you said, that's only 5 seasons plus 9 games this season. So the fact that he's done it, like I said, I think Fowler would be well further ahead if it weren't for injuries. I think probably similar for Michael Owen as well. Obviously, bad injuries. Gerrard for a central midfielder to get that many is still mad as well. And you've got the likes of Sadio Mane, Firmino, Suarez, Torres, Kaut, and Sturridge to make up the rest. So it's a good top 10, to be fair. Loads of boss memories with all of those players, because obviously most of them are in our recent history, like last 10-15 years, which has been a good time to be a Red. So loads of good players there. I think just before we go, I was going to chat about like the Zen. Well, actually, let's chat about the xenophobic thing, because I've got a tweet from Robbo. And yeah, basically saying there are 3 clubs in world football who can do what they want financially. That's what Klopp said, referring to like City and PSG and Newcastle and stuff, get backed by Gulf states. And apparently this comment angered some at City who felt Klopp's words were borderline xenophobic. City felt that Klopp's comment whipped up tensions ahead of a game that has a history of trouble. So yeah, that just seems to me like obviously we came out, the Liverpool as a club tweeted and put on the website about like the vile chanting that the City fans were doing. They obviously came out and vilified that, saying you can't be doing that. But City didn't mention anything about that, and they didn't mention anything about like the away end getting scrawled with like murderers and all kinds of other stuff. So I just feel like they're just trying to change the narrative here with this.
Yeah, and that's there's all the evidence as well for what they did and what they sang, because there's on obviously a video, there's photos of what they wrote as well in the event away end. So there's there's nothing that's strange about that, but I don't know, there just seems to be a real bunch of weirdos. When they write this kind of stuff, I was just like, huh? Like, it's like what Robert says there. Sorry, what? It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, it's and like you said, like loads of people on Twitter. Liverpool made a statement last night about what happened at the game and the songs that were sung, and all that. But Man City haven't said anything, and I just think it says something about that club. I just despise them more and more. Obviously back in the days when City were, a proper club, like I didn't have any problems. I kind of liked when, Anelka played there and Richard Dunn, I kind of liked them because they were, well, no, I wouldn't say shit, but they were Manchester City in a city where, Manchester United were the major. I kind of liked the way City were, but obviously, they got all the money and all that. You can talk about that just like Klopp did, but it's just the way they are behaving themselves, and they're just not very likable in the way they behaving. Like
Class, isn't it? It's like classless, which it's
exactly.
not good.
It's just they just make people not like them because the way they actually are behaving, and they're not showing any. It's not like they're not being. It's just moaning. They're not being very respectful. I think the way the whole club is just I don't know. It's just really really hard to like them in any way because of everything they do. So yeah. Someone actually wrote to me, like a friend just texted me when because I shared that Twitter with some friends, and I had a reply from a friend saying, it's like, I never thought I was going to say that I missed the old, Alex Ferguson and that era when we kind of had, all the discussions and argues with Manchester United and Alex Ferguson being the way he was. But he said, I just miss it because City's just without class, You can say Man United had some, even if you don't like them, but yeah, they will never be in that category anyway.
Nah, I think it's just another like trying to whip up a rivalry as well, like trying to like make it like a bit more like it's a bit edgy and stuff.
It's a small oil club, it's just
it's not for me. It's not for me. A few more comments before we go. Doug says the goals will come for Darwin Núñez. Here's what they call a diamond in the rough with confidence in goals. Assists will come, yeah, definitely. JJ says, can we please mention the best thing about Salah's goal was Pep dropping to his knees in dramatic frustration? Sorry if this was already covered. No, we haven't discussed that actually, and it's boss, to be fair. Like as soon as Salah just turns Cancelo inside out, you just see Pep like just fall to the floor, like, oh fuck, they're gonna score, and we do, and it was absolutely like Aiden says, it was class. Pep was thinking not again. I think just before we go, the only thing that overshadowed it, obviously the stuff we just discussed, like which is just absolutely vile, but in terms of on the field, like Jota getting injured, like in the last 3 minutes, that line, like we said, he played so well. I think that overshadowed the win a little bit because it looks like a hamstring. I don't know how long it's going to be, but to get stretched off is not a good sign, is it?
No, I read something about calf injury. I don't know. I haven't read anything more about it.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but obviously, having to have help off the pitch on a stretcher, it doesn't look good. So, and I read something about saying that he's, it looks like he might be out, and it's a risk for his World Cup, and he might be out until after that. So it's obviously a really bad blow for us because he's been really good since he came in playing again, and now we have another injury on the left hand side with Luis Diaz already gone. So yeah, that will be something how we will play going forward. But yeah, we'll see. There's something I think the club probably will sort out.
Yeah, I mean it's just mad because we keep having to change because we're getting injuries, and then Jota comes in as starting to get us back to his best.
Carvalho time.
Yeah. Well, Curtis Jones is back as well, so there's a few different options, but it's just frustrating that you get such a great win and it's overshadowed by another injury that it's not even like one that's going to keep him off for 1 game or 2. It's going to be a while, which is frustrating. But yeah, we'll leave it there, Kristian. Nice one. There's been the chat's been absolutely booming there. I haven't been able to keep up with. I think I've went through everyone. I'm sorry if I missed any, but there's been loads. There's been Paul, Aidan, Doug, JJ, Chris. Who else did we have? I think that was everyone, but you fly in the comments and we really appreciate it. And if you're watching live, like all the legends that are watching live, then do like and subscribe. If you're watching on a replay, then do the same, please, if you wouldn't mind, because it does help us out. And if you're watching on, keep saying watch. If you're watching on Spotify, I say this every week. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple or any audio platforms that you prefer, then do leave us a rating, because that does help get us up the podcast charts. And I keep saying I want to get higher in them if I can. So definitely do that if you wouldn't mind. That would really help. But yeah, nice one again to everyone in the chat. Nice one for everyone for watching or listening. And nice one to Kristian. And the Reds have done it. They have beat Man City, which is very, very nice to say. I didn't think I'd be saying that after in the build up to the game, but we did do it. And then need to get ready now for West Ham on my birthday. So don't be ruining my birthday, Reds. Don't be ruining my birthday. It's only 33. It's not a special one, but can't be ruining it. Just
baby. baby.
Keep the same energy, keep the same intensity, and we go again. Yeah, nice one, everyone. Up the Reds.